So if you've not heard of MindsEye, this is the game that's been shown off in various like teasers and trailers intermittently for the last like year and a half. And it's very interesting because so much of this game is just weird. Like, it's just weird. The trailers just leave you feeling like something's off. There's just something weird about it. It gives off like kind of fake video game vibes. The way some people have described is that it looks like a video game that somebody would be playing on a TV show, like a fake video game that they're playing on a TV show that's supposed to be Grand Theft Auto, but isn't. It just gives off a strange vibe, you know? But until recently, just yesterday, we didn't know any like direct specifics because they had never actually shown off the game directly to media. And they still technically haven't done that. And we'll talk about it. What they did is they did a preview event for select creators and journalists, but it was hands off, which translation, that means somebody else at the studio is playing the game and they're basically streaming the video footage of the game to you. So it's like when you're playing a game or your buddy's playing a game and like they stream it to you on Discord to show it to you. That's basically what this preview was. And bear in mind, this game is supposed to come out in June, like June, I think 10th. It's a little weird, a little suspicious. And what's even more suspicious is just how insanely bad the game looked, allegedly, okay? I did not see it. I was not invited. They didn't want Luke there. But we do know somebody that was there who kind of tore the game a new one, and we'll talk about it. But just as we go into this, I just want to lay the foundation because it's going to inform everything you're about to hear, and I think explain it pretty well. There's another project by the same company called Everywhere. You might have heard of this like Everywhere thing that was shown off, I think, at the Game Awards. Remember this thing? Everywhere gameplay demo. It was supposed to be like this big cross media thing where like you can make your own games, make your own experiences, your own levels. And it's supposed to just be like a giant playground where you can mix and match a bunch of stuff. It kind of sounds like they're just trying to make a more like high production value, bigger budget Roblox. Is kind of what it sounds like, but you know, and there's money to be made there for sure. But I think what's happened is that they have started to run out of money. And as a result, Everywhere, the project, is not done yet. And so they're trying to rush out this other project that is a secondary spin-off title as part of the Everywhere platform, I think. And that is what MindsEye is, I think. Again, it's very unclear. They've done a pretty poor job of explaining all of this because none of it really makes sense. It's all very confusing, frankly, which is never a good sign because, again, this game is supposed to launch in less than a month and we still don't know like anything about it. But what I think is going on, they want to make new Roblox, but they don't have enough money to finish it. So, because they originally, when they announced it, it sounded a lot like they were going to have NFTs. And I think that was going to be one of the big tie-ins. NFTs died. And now they don't really know how to get investors involved. So they're trying to spin off this other project called MindsEye. And that's going to be part of the platform, or it's built with the same tools or something. And that's, they're hoping, is going to bring money in that can then fund the rest of development. But that's why they're kind of rushing it. Now, Mr. Matty Plays got the chance and was one of the people that saw the game behind closed doors as part of this preview. Technically a streamed preview, again, kind of like a Discord call where they just share the screen. That's basically what this was. People are asking in chat, what's the point of doing that if they're not going to let people play the game? Fair point. I would say the game comes out in like 3 weeks and nobody knows anything about it. So they had to show something, but you're going to hear some of the details in this that are absolutely crazy. So buckle up. Whatever you think a bad preview could be, this is going to blow your mind because some of the stuff that Maddie will describe will blow your mind. Like I've been to plenty of these remote preview events. Many we've done videos on, others we don't. Sometimes it just never really amounts to much. This is far and away, it sounds, as he describes it, like probably one of the worst remote preview events for any game I've ever heard. So we'll check it out. As always, you got to go subscribe to Mr. Matty. You got to go show him some love. I think he did the best description and summation of this whole debacle. And so I want you to hear it from the man, because this, again, is absolutely insane.
Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, I'm bringing you a preview for MindsEye, likely something you've been searching for a while if you have any interest on this game, because this...
If you've heard of it, which not many people have. Not many people have.
There's been very little information on it, very little gameplay on it, so I'm excited to talk to you about it here today. I guess maybe excited is not the right word, now that I put that out there, and I'll get into that in a moment, but let's just give a little bit of background information on why there's even interest in this game at all. Build the Rocket Boy is a brand new team behind MindsEye. It's led by Leslie Benzies, who is the producer behind GTA 3, San Andreas, GTA 4, GTA 5, LA Noire, GTA Online. So, like, yeah,
got a lot of titles under his belt, big titles, which is probably why he was given a lot of money to do this, and why he was given money to do like a big mini Roblox spin-off kind of thing, especially if it had something to do with crypto and NFTs. And now that that's going out the window, and that doesn't seem like that's going to be a viable way of making money with this, you start to wonder, okay, well, what's the tie-in? And I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, so he's got connections to Rockstar. Yeah, but he doesn't have Rockstar as a team, right? Like, it's not the one guy at the top that makes these games, it's all the people beneath him. And what makes Rockstar really, really amazing is that they have world-class talent and world-class management and leadership and stuff to lead that talent. But it's not as simple as just plucking one guy from here, putting him over there, and now you've got another Rockstar studio. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
A lot of Grand Theft Auto pedigree behind this, and that's part of the reason it was exciting. Is there was this huge void between GTA 5 and 6 where I feel like a lot of crime-based open world games could have taken their shot to, you know, share a spot with GTA 6. Of course, that's going to come in and clean house whenever it releases, but there's still time for you to make a crime-based open world game that fills that void, fills a need, and does really well. So MindsEye, especially now with the GTA 6 delay, it's kind of hit it at the right time, in my opinion, especially given the mind behind it is one of, like,
the mind's eye behind it. It does make sense. And people for years have wanted a GTA alternative. Saints Row was kind of that for a while, sort of. And then it was more wacky. And then the reboot happened, which was, you know, a thing that happened. And, and so, but a lot of it is because, like, making a Rockstar style game is just not, it's not easy. Like, it's incredibly expensive, very difficult, takes forever. And even then, it still might not be enough to compete. And so it's something a lot of companies have not bothered trying, but they're sort of trying, with MindsEye.
The originals behind just GTA at its most prominent. Build the Rocket Boy is said to be a 450 to 500 person team working full-time on the game.
450. That's huge. That is not a small team, okay? Like, that's like a very large AAA team. The core dev team for, like, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think they said was between 500 and 600. And they had a lot of, you know, other people at Ubisoft helping with it, but like the core dev team, the main guys, were like 500 to 600. So they have a team of close to the same size working on this.
It's published by IO Interactive's partner division. It's launching on June 10th. And there were a lot of questions with very little answers going into this one. Very little gameplay, very little story details. Any gameplay we did see was just primarily cars blowing up, so...
Let's see. Editor's note says we had very little footage to work with, so some of the gameplay on screen won't represent what's being discussed. Sorry about that. You're about to understand and see why they didn't have as much footage as they would like. It's about to make sense.
What's going on with this? And then there was I remember seeing it on Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors, there was a little bit of a gameplay leak over there, and people were like, what is happening with this game? So, yeah, it was a preview. It was hands-off. It was digital. And we have...
Already not great. Hands-off digital previews. 3 weeks out from launch. I'm just going to get this ready. I have a feeling we're going to need this. I just... Call it a hunch. I think we might need this as we go through this. It's not great already. Like, during the dark times in 2020, 2021, that was normal. Like, yeah, it's digital, it's remote, hands off. I get it. 2025, like, we have things like Parsec, which is like a remote streaming thing that you can do. For AC Shadows, they, as part of the review process, they gave us access to the game a week earlier than expected, But they said that in order to do that, we had to use GeForce Now to play the game, which was fine. GeForce Now is really, really good. And so there's plenty of tools and options for remote streaming to like let people play the game. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And I think that should immediately cause a little suspicion.
Under a month to go now. So that didn't necessarily build confidence in that environment, but I wanted to go in with an open mind because the demo was at least live. When I've done these hands-off previews, like I did it for Pentiment Sticks Out in my head, it's like a very planned presentation. Everything's pre-recorded. This was just showing like, hey, it works, it's real. So I saw an
It's also not great if your game is a few weeks out and you have to convince people it's real. That also not great. Not great. If people are like, so is this a real game? Already, you're playing catch up. I'm just saying.
early game mission, I saw a late game mission, and then I also saw a new Arcadia mode, which is basically their content builder, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I could not record any of my own gameplay, so everything you're going to be seeing in this video was provided by the publisher, so it'll likely look a lot better than what I saw. And here's my general takeaway, and I know with my platform, when I say these types of things, they come with a lot of weight, but sincerely, this game needs to get delayed. I saw so many bugs in this preview, and I've been doing this half my life. Like, I've seen previews in a good state, I've seen previews in a bad state. This is up there with some of the worst I've seen, just in the terms of preparation. You could just feel the energy in the room was like, we got to go. Like, the pressure just felt real. Taking that out of the equation, all that matters for you at the end point is the quality of the game here. And I'm just going to run down a list of bugs that I saw. And by the end of...
Can we also just appreciate that it took like all of 2 bullets to the front of the car to cause it to explode? Like, all of the shots he's done so far in the glass.
Game here.
And then that bullet hits right above the wheel well, and then it explodes. Like, everything explodes in this.
Taking that out of the equation, all that matters for you
So
at
glass
the end
cuts to
point
that.
is the quality of the game here. And I'm just going to run down a list of bugs that I saw. And by the end of the presentation, like, we swear these are all patched. You don't have to worry about any of them. But look, I have seen that song and dance before. I always remember going to my Fallout 76 preview event. And when I went there, the game ran like shit. And Bethesda was like, we swear it's going to run well at launch. How'd that go?
Yeah, it's people have given a lot of content creators, myself included, I'm sure Maddie too, crap when we review something or discuss a preview and we mention how buggy or broken it is. And it's because, like, we don't know if the publisher is telling the truth, the game developers are telling the truth, or there might be miscommunication between the two. Like, we just don't know. And if you were to believe Bethesda back in the day with Fallout 76 that all of this is going to be patched, you would have looked really stupid if you reviewed the game and were like, it's awesome, I love it dearly, it's online Fallout, and you mentioned none of the bugs, because they were all there. Like, you shouldn't just take their word for it. And at this point, being a few weeks out from launch and the build that they're showing you is this busted, it's not super likely that it gets better. Like, usually when you do a preview, the version of the game that you're seeing or playing is like 3 months old, typically, about that old. They built it, they locked it down, they polished it up, and then they prepared for the preview with that build. So the version of Marathon that we saw back in, whatever that was, early May, that version of the game is probably from like March, early March, late February. Or like when we saw AC Shadows in January, they said that build was from November. So this version of the game they're showing is probably from like April or March, but that's still like it still should be running way better if it's launching in June. Like, it still should run way better. Like, this is not normal to have a game that broken in a preview build. And if that's what they were willing to show media, what did they not show media? He's going to mention that because there's portions of the map they didn't let them see, and there's probably good reason for that.
So I learned my lesson, right? I learned my lesson about, like, putting faith in them. It's like, I know game development. It's like, there's a lot here that needs to get ironed out. And I feel like a GTA 6's delay, this one could also afford a delay.
So you might be wondering, why are they not delaying it? Because if it's this bad, all the devs surely know that it needs a delay. I think it's because they don't have the money. I don't think they can afford a delay. Now, with how unanimous the negative reception to this preview has been, they might sit up and go, okay, we've got to just figure it out. We've got to figure it out. We'll take on extra debt. We'll figure it out. But I don't think they can afford it. I think that's the problem.
So bugs I saw. A drone was invisible during a cutscene. This is one they called out pretty immediately and said, like, yeah, we know about this one. There was pretty brutal pop-in with the textures. When they were flying over the city, they got into a sky car and they were flying over, and you could just see it in real time. Did not look very good. I think there were a lot of frame dips. This is the one I'm going to put a little bit of a asterisk on because this was all streamed to us, and so it's possible it was lagging.
Even in the footage that they provided here, there's plenty of frame dips that they're showing. I mean, if we just rewind it back here, watch some of these frame dips as like the camera moves forward. Just
so
like
bugs I saw.
It's not just
a drone was invisible during a cutscene. This is one they called out pretty immediately and said, like, yeah, we know about this one. There was pretty brutal pop-in with the textures. When they were flying over the city, they got into a sky car and they were flying over, and you could just see it in real time. Did not look very good. I think there were a lot of frame dips. This is the one I'm going to put a little bit of a asterisk on because this was all streamed to us, and so it's possible it was lagging, but it looked like it was, stuttering pretty hard during certain stretches. I'll be on the lookout for this, though, and you should be too. So that's why I just wanted to at least mention it. Things I did actually see, though, were the ones I mentioned before, and also some weird balancing things. The demoist,
this is probably the most insane thing. When he said this, when I checked this out yesterday, I was like, there's no way. Just listen to this, okay? This is a preview event where they're showcasing the game to convince media that this is going to be awesome, okay? Listen to what they had to do.
I've never seen this in my entire life. The demoist used invincibility to get around 2 different encounters in 2 different missions that they otherwise would have died in. Because they were very clearly unbalanced. Again,
They had to turn on God mode to get past 2 separate missions in the preview that they did. And this was like an hour-long stretch of gameplay. They had to turn on invincibility, turn on God mode, because they couldn't break through either way. You're a month out, less than a month out from launch, and the game is still so broken and busted, you can't play it. Like, you literally can't unless you use console commands to turn on God mode. I have never in my life heard of. Imagine if we went to like a preview event for like, I don't know, Elden Ring Night Rain or something, and they're like, hey, check out our new gameplay. Check out this boss fight. And then they turn on God mode and you can't die. Like, see how fun this is? It's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? No, he's just really hard. Like, you can't beat him. So we turned this on so you could see what it looks like when you beat him. Wait, you skipped over that last part real quick. Like, this is a problem, man. Like, this is not okay. What are you talking about? I've never in my life been at a preview where they've done something like that, and I cannot even fathom how anybody would think that's a good idea. But this is, once again, like, game developers are not stupid. They know how that looks. This is why it screams like that this is management rushing this game out the door, and that they just are like, you got to figure it out. Put it out. You're doing a preview on Monday. Figure it out. But we still need balancing. A bunch of the missions that you want us to show, you can't get through because the balance isn't right. I don't care. Figure it out. Just do it. So the only way they can do it is by turning on invincibility. Like, I feel for the devs because this is so patently absurd. There is no way that they are not aware of how ridiculous this looks. Like, this screams management is rushing them, and that's just sad to see in any case.
Never seen that before. That is like mid-production stuff. Like, when you have not balanced your game and you're like, we just need to test if this can go like start to finish and like the skeleton, the quest works. That's what you do. So to see that a month away from launch, I'm like, oh boy, that's not good. There were even names missing in subtitles. It would just say like none. I thought that was weird. There were enemies spawning in front of you. At one point, this happened just one time, to be fair. And there was another point where I saw in that same mission, enemies were like crouched behind cover and just shooting into cover. And I think that enemy AI just was not in a good spot either. There were a lot of points in the demo where they were just running at you. So this is all literally me watching it. I didn't even get to play it, and this was my takeaway. I was like, this is really buggy. And again, the claim was it will all be patched at launch. And if it is, excellent. But that kind of gets into some of the stiff nature of the game overall, where if I'm just looking at it, bugs aside, they all get squashed. Did I walk away from MindsEye going like, okay, all right. Well, some parts of it Yes, but I wanted to put the bugs up front because, again, I just think it's so important you're aware of this stuff. June is a very competitive time. We know the Switch 2 is coming out, a lot of games releasing, a lot getting announced, and MindsEye is right there in the thick of it. And I think this game has great potential if it's given the time because, again, I want more crime-based open-world games. I don't think Grand Theft Auto has to be the only one. I think Saints Row blew a great opportunity years ago when they were kind of stepping in. It was like, dude, if you bring back like OG Saints Row vibes, that is a perfect time to do it with no GTA 6 on the horizon.
Yeah, there was a really good video I saw. It was like how not to save Saints Row or how not to save your game and it's Saints Row reboot or whatever. I don't recall the name of the content creator, but if you search that on YouTube, you'll find it. But it was a really good video going through the history of Saints Row and of the franchise in general. It was a very good video. But as part of that, like they break down how just the reboot of the franchise was just a colossal mistake from start to finish. Like just horrible. Really masterful, frankly. Really impressive. But it's, yeah, I mean, the old saying is comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's true in personal life, with your friends, with social media, whatever. But it's also true in the context of like comparing products. And if your game is going to try to compete with Grand Theft Auto and all anybody is going to compare it to is Grand Theft Auto, you have to meet that level. Otherwise, it's just seen as a knockoff that's worse. And especially with how competitive the industry is right now, the odds of people putting up with that are pretty low. It just is. Like, it's just not likely that you're going to find success that way because people are always going to be, why would I spend 60 or 70 or 80 bucks on this when I could save that money and put it towards something else that's higher quality? So all this to say, yeah, I mean, across the board, I think there's perhaps potential with some of the stuff that they've shown narratively. Like, they have some good acting talent in this. You'll recognize Lincoln from Mafia 3 is the protagonist. They showcase some solid cinematics. They showcase some other things. But again, I think most likely what this is that this game was supposed to be part of the launch version of Everywhere, which is basically their version of Roblox. And their vision was, similar to Fortnite, to have a platform where you could build your own little games, little experiences. They could have other dev teams building games effectively in the Everywhere toolkit. And then you can just have this one platform where they get a cut of the pie across the board. And I think at one point it was going to tie into NFTs for cosmetics that spread from game to game to game, because you buy a cosmetic in MindsEye, you can bring that to the other games that are in Everywhere. And it was part of the broader vision of the platform. But I think that they just have run out of money, and as a result, they're running out of time. And so they're trying to rush this out to get some cash. But I don't think this is going to be the moneymaker they're hoping for. I don't know anybody that understands what this game is. And certainly after these previews, I don't think anybody is particularly excited. Now, this is just a little sliver of Maddie's video. I encourage you to go watch the entire thing because it's very good, and he goes through a lot of the other stuff. For example, the city. They didn't get shown anything specifically in the city. And they were, I mean, let's be honest, after seeing a lot of this, chances are it's because the game runs like crap in the city and they didn't want to show how badly it ran in the city. But the other piece of it is that they probably also are doing a lot of the like sandbox stuff where you build out your own missions and quests and your own quest designers and stuff. All of that is built out in the city as well. And so it's just not done and they don't want to show it yet. And all of this is just, I mean, red flags galore. It's all, and yeah, literally the moment that they start flying towards the city, which Maddie said was when the game started really struggle, that's when it cuts off. Not great. Not great. And it's too bad because I think there's potential. Exploring a city like this is kind of cool. The way they've described the open world is similar to like the old school Mafia games where the quests take place in the big city, but it's not like, there's not a lot of open world activities. You know, it's not a Red Dead. It's not a GTA. It's not trying to do that. But it's hard to find what they're actually trying to do because everything that they've shown, which is not much, doesn't look very good. It really, really, really doesn't. And so I just, you know, we started this whole thing with lots of questions about this game, and we're leaving with just as many questions, if not more. And that's never what you want out of a preview, because typically and historically what happens is that if the preview leaves you feeling up here, the actual game ends up being about here. Sometimes it's a little bit less, but previews are designed to show you the best of what the game has to offer. It's designed to show you like what's going to make you excited for it. So when you do a preview, or when you watch a journalist or a YouTuber that goes to a preview, you have to understand what they're being shown is the best that they have to offer, at least in theory, which is why like for previews of Assassin's Creed, you can be like, hey, it looks like a 9. That probably means it's going to land at 8.5 typically. Sometimes it'll surprise you. You do a preview for KCD2 and you're like, yeah, it's like a 9 for the preview. You get the final game and it ends up being like a 9.5, you know, but typically it ends up being a little bit less than what the preview made it out to be. And in this case, if the preview is like a 2 or a 3, I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that that doesn't end well. I also find it really, really distracting how quickly these cars blow up. Shoots him, one bullet hits the truck and it explodes. I appreciate the explosions, but it feels like it shouldn't happen like so freaking quickly, but whatever. We'll see what happens with this. I think they really should delay it, but it seems like it needs a lot of time, like 6 months to a year of refinement and work and optimization. I don't think it's anywhere near ready from what I'm hearing. Just hearing that they are turning on invincibility for the preview, that immediately should be disqualifying for any game like this. And the fact that they're doing that as part of this promotional thing is unbelievable to me. It's just crazy. But it also reflects a broader sense of being rushed, because what a lot of studios would do if they had to do that, if something wasn't balanced, they would just go into the commands. They'd give the player 800% health or 1,000% health, and then they'd play through the mission and hope that the media never really notices that the health bar isn't dropping that much and just move on. But they didn't even have time to do that. They had to instead toggle God mode, which again is not great. I mean, that's just not great. That's really bad. Really, really bad. So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, I encourage you to go watch the whole Mr. Matty Plays video, because he goes in deep into the game and got to look at it, took lots and lots of notes, and he's always pretty thorough. So go check that out. If you want just to be more confused than ever, you can check out the Everywhere YouTube channel, which the description makes even less sense. A community-driven gaming platform where you can build, remax, and play together in a vast open world. Currently in Builder's Beta by Build a Rocket Boy. Okay. And I still don't know what any of this really means. It really is masterful how they have so much money, so many resources, it seems, and yet they have struggled so much to communicate what the hell this even is. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how they're having this much trouble with it, but it's bad. It's bad. So we'll keep an eye on it. Seems like right after Summer Games Fest is when this launches. So we're going to have lots of content at Summer Games Fest, and then we'll have this. So we're going to be eating good, fam. We're going to be eating good. Buckle up. Because there's going to be a lot. He took my thing.